Travelling in a post-apocalyptic world is often dangerous, long and necessary. It can be the entire premise of a story or just a touch of it tacked onto the side. Regardless, travelling usually plays a big role in this genre. Now, more often than not, these post-apocalyptic societies take place in the modern world, and in the modern world, before the events, it turns out that us humans don't really live in the most sensible of places. Now, this is due to mass production and globalization and having things delivered straight to our door, so we don't actually have a need to be near necessities besides an actual shop. And this is all well and good until society breaks down and there is an apocalypse. When that happens, things stop working. Water stops coming at your tap, shops nearby no longer have food, you can no longer call or text family and friends, and very quickly you can become isolated at being only able to rely on those physically around you, which for some might not be anyone at all. Now, this incentivizes travel, whether to get back home, get food and water, perhaps safety from the dangers of the world. Some people will have to travel only just down the road to find what they need, and others might have to search further afield. It depends on their location, it depends on their motive, whether they're going out just to find food, or perhaps they've got a cure or a book. Maybe they want to contact other settlements and establish trade routes, or simply maybe they're on the road to escape dangerous groups. Now, if your world isn't a part of an immediate apocalypse and more of a post-apocalyptic event, there's usually a level of rebuilding that's already been done, and a certain level of safety either in these settlements or just around them, where trade routes will still need to be established and involve a lot of travelling. But perhaps they've got a few cars back on the road, perhaps you don't have to walk everywhere, perhaps they've secured routes between their own settlement and others between them, just to get rid of any bandits. So things are usually a little bit safer, a little bit more civilized, but of course that could also depend on the regions on your continent in your world, and perhaps some places are more civilized, whereas others are still sort of lagging behind and a little bit more ruthless. Either way, travelling itself could be dangerous. It might not be easy to get petroleum to drive cars and motorbikes, meaning that turns into a luxury. And most people have to walk. And if most people have to walk, it means that bandits and bad people with desperation might be waiting on the road to ambush you and to take and maybe kill for what they need. And on the subjects of vehicles, maybe petrol is just completely forgotten about. People don't know, the knowledge is lost, they don't really know what you fill up these cars with. So perhaps your world is reverted back to horse and cart and walking. Or maybe if it's post-apocalyptic, they've made a new invention and a new discovery separate from that, and they're using that form of transport instead. So whatever you choose will greatly determine the danger for people to travel, because without vehicles, things are forced to be more localized. Stepping further afield into the unknown is much more dangerous. You can't just zip past a bunch of bad people if you don't have a car, and instead people are more cornered into the parts of the world that they're born into. Now, if you do have vehicles, it does tend to shrink the continent to a certain degree, so what would be 2 hours of walking is now 5 minutes in the car, but of course that also relies on the roads still being drivable, which, I mean, if it's a problem in the modern age now, in an apocalypse it might be a little bit worse. And of course, if cars are drivable, there will be certain people that are more knowledgeable than others, ones that have read books or have tinkered with them, and so places that have people with more knowledge surrounding vehicle and transport will have a far greater advantage than those who don't. Whatever you decide, it certainly gives a good glimpse into your world and how people will behave and react and move, especially when faced with greater dangers. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope it's been of some use, and I will see you in the next one.